back. You're watching the AI report right here on News 9 Time Now to shift focus to Mythos. But before that, what's really brewing between Pentagon and Anthropic? Well, the Pentagon and Anthropic have been at loggerheads for over 6 weeks now over what began with safety guardrails and military autonomy. While that is still on, Anthropic has received what amounts to a major endorsement from the Trump administration. Now, while speaking at a Wall Street Journal event in Washington, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent praised Anthropic's new Mythos model. Now, Bessent called Mythos as a revolutionary step that will help America maintain its lead over China in the artificial intelligence race. Now, what exactly is Mythos and what makes Mythos a path-breaking platform? Well, simply put, it is an advanced AI model designed to scan software systems, identify and create exploits for high-sensitivity, zero-day vulnerabilities across operating systems and web browsers at an unprecedented scale. Now, because of its immense potential for misuse by hackers, it is so far restricted from public release with access limited to a vetted consortium. Now, as Anthropic puts it, they have created an AI model so powerful that out of a sense of overwhelming responsibility, it was not going to release it to the public. Now, the implications could be stark, to say the least. The software has the potential to find and exploit those weaknesses faster than any human team can patch them. Now, everything that depends on software, and this includes hospitals, banks, power grids, and the devices that you carry in your pocket, all of them virtually exposed. Now, the Reform UK MP Danny Kruger wrote the letter to the government urging to engage with AI firm Anthropic, whose new frontier model, Claude Mythos, could present catastrophic cybersecurity risks to the United Kingdom. Now, the reactions on X range from celebratory to skepticism. Some feel Anthropic's Dario Omadai has mastered the art of hype in recent times. While it's unclear whether Anthropic has built the machine god, it has raised eyebrows across the world. Now, even the Indian government is looking to test it for its defense capabilities. Now, to discuss whether Mythos is a potential asset or a threat in the making, we have with us today Kanishk Gaur, cybersecurity and AI experts, along with Febin John James, founder of AIBodh. To you first, Kanishk. Now, this Mythos tool has really been making headlines. Just explain to our viewers what is so scary about Mythos detecting vulnerabilities that humans may never be able to.
Mythos is able to detect zero-day vulnerabilities. These are vulnerabilities which are unknown in softwares and which can create havoc. So today, if there is a zero-day vulnerability in a Microsoft or a Adobe system which is used in power plants, then power plants would be shut down because of the zero-day vulnerability. So today, Mythos has lowered the barrier significantly when it comes to cyber attacks. You don't need elite hackers. You need regular capable hackers who could use these zero-day vulnerabilities and exploit them.
Okay.
So the overreach of doing cyber attacks has become significantly easier. Not everyone becomes a hacker overnight, but someone who understands zero-day vulnerabilities can then use exploits to access systems and make them persistent. And this could be used as a cyber weapon. Now, the key thing here is that this has dual use. The zero-day vulnerabilities could offensively be used in operations where there is war, which could be used by Department of War. That's why Peter Hegseth was after it. It could also create a stockpile of the zero-day vulnerabilities by not letting the other part of the world know, and then use it for creating backdoors. This we saw the US using in with Stuxnet, where they try to basically stop the Iran's uranium enrichment and push it back by a number of years. Now, the regulatory pressure is government regulators would never allow the open release of such capability because it will be dangerous. It could be used against a nation state. But at the same time, they would want to acquire these capabilities. So this
Right.
is more about national security control and tech and strategic positioning. That's what Anthropic is leveraging. Now, this could enable more government partnerships, despite denying the access to the Pentagon and to the White House is still interested in using the capability of Anthropic in offensive security and use their exploits for basically going after adversaries. So this is more of cyber wargaming where Anthropic would come to great use, and critical infrastructure, particularly in defense, would be targeted when there is a situation like war going on right now. So it basically enables cyber deterrence capabilities for countries like the US.
All right. Thank you so much for putting all of that in perspective. But, one question that still continues to loom is that if Anthropic Mythos could be developed, then what is stopping from another equally potent tool being developed, which could pretty much exploit the same zero-day vulnerabilities that you've been speaking about, and that going in the wrong hands? So at the end of the day, are we talking about a scenario that countries and institutions that have a B2B sort of or a B2G sort of use case of Mythos are going to be better protected as against those that do not acquire these sort of safeguarding tools?
It is not just about B2B or B2G. It can also be B2C. It could also be C2C. Because today, if this tool lands in the hands of hackers, which can operate from a third world country, they could exploit another country and create a situation of war right now. So it's basically allowing supply chain vulnerabilities to be exploited on a big time basis, and it will help countries create their strategic autonomy. So it is not about can't there be another system like this be created? The point is who can create it first and have more strategic autonomy. So it
Right.
is basically using AI for cyber warfare today, and the speed to acquire it, instead of months or years, it is now reduced to hours, which is one of the biggest difference. And the second part is entire scale at which it could be automated and the asymmetry through which it can gain disproportionate power. That's really the key part of it. So it could be used to shut down power plants. It could be used to shut down nuclear reactors. So from reactive security, we are moving to predictive security,
Right.
which makes continuous attack surface vulnerable to all kinds of exploits and threats. So systems you already know are have known vulnerabilities. The unknown vulnerability is really the key, and there is obviously time which is taken by the software company, the OEM, which is up to 90 days. Now, within this 90-day period, you could potentially exploit it and use it for offensive manner, and it could be used for waging war against a country, against the economy. So it creates that strategic autonomy, whosoever gets it first.
All right. Of course, that strategic autonomy is what I think the entire world is eyeing right now. Let's also bring in Febin John James, founder AIBodh, into this conversation. Mr. James, we are talking about the zero-day vulnerabilities and how Claude Mythos could potentially help countries garner the sort of ability and the ammunition to protect itself against zero-day vulnerabilities and potentially also exploit the loopholes in other countries that potentially do not have those safeguards. But talking specifically about the Indian context, I mean, one doesn't really know and is always skeptical of what is under the hood when it comes to AI development in China. Now, while Anthropic Mythos is there out in the public, people know about the possibilities that exist both for defense and offensive capabilities. For a country like India, do we have a looming threat from a neighbor like China potentially, where we don't even know whether a Mythos equivalent has already been developed and tested?
Yeah, I think even if China don't have a capability like that, they will have they will have a backdoor access, or somehow they can attain access to Mythos, or potentially in the future any such technology for that matter. So we have to consider that that is possible, and we have to be proactive in acquiring a technology like Mythos faster, because the threat is very real. And given that Anthropic has done it, and as we have seen in the past, when someone like OpenAI did it first and they broke the entire AI space, and Anthropic followed. Similarly, now Anthropic is doing it, and definitely there's someone in China who will be following like DeepSeek, right? So we have to consider that as a threat, and India has to be proactive in defending itself.
All right. And final word to you. The government of India is obviously saying that it wants to sort of test this software and understand the kind of risks and the kind of opportunities that exist. But how critical is it for India, if not to build, but to quickly go ahead and acquire these safeguards to protect its own autonomy and national interest?
See, it's very critical for India to kind of acquire it right now, given our security threats or security issues, vulnerabilities which has occurred in the past last 5 years or such, right? And we all know about the data leaks which has just happened and has come out many times. So in that in that data evidence which we have to go ahead and acquire it right away and start testing it. And I think Anthropic is more than willing to kind of collaborate with governments to do that. So I think the faster the better.
All right, faster the better. Well, Febin John James, founder AIBodh, and Kanishk Gaur, cybersecurity and AI expert, thank you so much for joining us on the AI Report today. And with that, we will slip into another short break. But coming up on the other side, if you thought that robots can do everything, think again, because there are some very, very fundamental, basic jobs that robots find hard to deliver on. We'll tell you that on the other side of the break.